Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailee, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Today, I do have the pleasure of speaking with Bailee Carlson. She is a certified coach, a mom, a hairstylist who runs a website called She Stands Strong. Oh, that's already powerful. It's a platform for empowering women to live their best lives by overcoming their fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs. Bailee also offers online courses, coaching programs, and podcasts where she interviews amazing women from different fields and backgrounds. She has a passion for inspiring and motivating women to achieve their goals and dreams. Another thing about Bailee is we actually have talked before, and I just love her podcast because it's real. It's not scripted. It feels empowering. And of course, I was on it, so it made it even better. Seriously kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding. We should love ourselves for our qualities. And I think we did an amazing job because we had this synergy, right? Yeah. So I'm calling it a win. Bailee, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So Bailee, I'm really excited to have you on the show because I think you have an amazing journey as a mompreneur and a woman who stands strong. And you seem to have more control over your life and your goals than most people have. I know there's never any full control, but that's what I got from you in our last chat. So what do you think about that?
I think, like you said, sometimes I feel like I'm in control. And then there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not going the way that I thought. But I just learned that that's kind of my control as well, is kind of rolling with the punches. Instead of feeling like it always has to be like, my goal has to be the exact way that I said it was going to be, because if I do that and it doesn't happen that exact way, then I totally feel like I'm a failure. So I've really had to learn how to change that and have like a goal that I'm going for, but be okay if it changes, because if not, then I'm taking away my own personal control that I have with being okay with what my situation turns out to be. But I appreciate I'll take that as a compliment. So thank you.
Excuse me. No, you know what? That is one of the reasons that you impress me so much, is because you really understand your mind power and you know what you're capable of doing just by mindset. And so I really enjoy that about you. And, you know, I think it has a lot to do, in my personal opinion, with what has made you successful. You talked to me a little bit about your coaching. So you're a coach? Oh, as well as a hairstylist. I'm really excited that, you know, come down and maybe I'll be able to get your services.
Yeah. So I've been a hairstylist for legally 5 years. My grandma owned a hair salon. My aunt was a hairstylist. I've been around it my entire life. So I definitely was doing stuff before I went to school. Originally, I wanted to go to college so I could be a psychiatrist because I wanted to help prescribe the medication for people when they needed the help. Bailee doesn't do great in school, so college was not always my thing. I did just graduate with my bachelor's though, and like just this last semester, I finished it in the summer. So I just had a feeling to go back and do it. So I did it. And while I was going back to school and doing hair, I just started really feeling like I wanted to have that pull to do like counseling again. I mean, I do it anyways, just without a license, and I'm not necessarily getting paid the same amount.
Hey, girl.
I'm hearing everything. So I just kind of made that decision where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go for my master's and I'm going to do my counseling degree. But I wanted to start learning how to help people now. So I went in and I had a few certifications through my university, but then I really just decided to go down the life coaching style. I had a few clients talk to me about how they had a life coach and the difference that they've had between a life coach versus a counselor. And I am a very personal person. I love creating those connections. I love creating relationships. I can't do that as a counselor. I can't befriend somebody. Like, it would be really hard for me to stay in stronger regulations as a therapist. So as a life coach, I've been able to create those relationships. I mean, we all feed off of each other, right? That's something we need. So yeah, like that's kind of how I started doing the life coaching stuff. I've worked one-on-one with people for a while, but recently I started working with groups and doing group courses and group classes. And I have seen the power that we bring together, which is so crazy because we've always heard it, strength in numbers, right? Mm-hmm. But in these courses, like, I'm sure we all have done this where we will listen to a teacher say something, but the moment somebody else says it actually hits harder. Yeah. Working. And like, this is what this is for the group courses, is like, we're all talking about stuff that we're going through, and somebody might interpret something that I've said differently, but then he will be able to share that. And then other people in the group will be able to grab onto that. And I just really loved working in these environments. I love change, but I always thought once I got my hair stuff that I'd be set on that. But yeah, I've been getting certified in all these different life coaching things. I'm in the process of doing NLP, practitioner in life coaching, and then I'm a confidence and mindset coach. I'm a life purpose coach, and I'm a business coach. So I have all of these coaching certificates, but I feel like they have definitely changed myself as to how I've been growing and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of just a little bit of the story. It's
an awesome story. You've said a few things that I wrote down that I find interesting. You know, group versus individual, power in numbers. Do you think there is value in both?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So like with my courses, we have the courses together, but we also have it where if you feel like you need to work one-on-one with me throughout the week, you have that option to talk with me. Because there are some times where you might not feel comfortable to share everything with everybody else, but maybe more one-on-one. Maybe you might need to have a more in-depth conversation than having everybody else talk. So I absolutely think that there is power in having both, but I think it all just stems down to having those relationships where you're surrounding yourself by people that you want to become. Having a group of people that have the same mindset as you as to wanting to become better helps us get to where we're going versus trying to do it on our own with people who don't want to do that, because then we start not wanting to do that either, because we are who we become who we are around.
Don't they say it's like you are 1 in 5 of the group that you're in?
The average?
Yeah, the average. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. How does somebody decide with you if they should be individually coached or if they are proper for group coaching? Like, how do you determine that? Is it something you do with them directly? And I know I'm totally going off script, but it's because you are so awesome to talk to. So
I think it just kind of depends. So like, let me give you an example. So I don't want to say I do group coaching because it's more like a group course where we have a lesson and we talk about it. And like, we'll do one-on-one coaching, like kind of throughout the group, but it's more so that way people can just apply that specific lesson to their lives. Whereas with individual, like with my courses, like let's say we're diving into navigating motherhood/womanhood. Okay, like that's one of my sections in my 12-week course that I have. And that one, if you feel like you're grasping some of the concepts, but you don't know how to implement it, if we haven't been able to get to that in the course class that we have, which is an hour Zoom call where we all come together, you watch a PowerPoint, we have assignments, we talk about it all together. If you don't feel like you were able to get deep enough and have enough clarity for you to implement it into your life, that's when we would do like a one-on-one. Or if you just felt like you wanted a little bit more guidance or advice, or kind of even just to vent about how this change is affecting yourself, affecting everybody else, It's just an option to you to do the one-on-one call when you have the courses, just because I want to make sure that I'm helping the people in my courses get the best out of it, as you can't necessarily do it on your own. Like, you have to have somebody who can help implement it into your life and help hold you accountable. And some people more feel like the one-on-one helps them do that. And some people feel like maybe a one-on-one once every few weeks helps. It's not necessarily a every week thing. So it's all personal. But it's just when you feel like you need that more, like that stronger clarity and that stronger push or guidance, like that's when you reach out and get in. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
It did. The way you do it is so personal. You seem as though you have a very personal touch to everyone who, comes into your world. And I think that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So silly question. In my industry, you can get all these certificates and it's all fine and dandy. But I personally think I got more of my education through life, right? Mm-hmm. Certificates are great, but how do you feel about that for you?
Oh, 100%. So like, I love having the courses my certificates, because I feel like it helps me learn different things as to how I can present, or just give me different information as to what I might need to use in my courses. So I have 2 courses. I have a 5-week one, which is a self-esteem course, and then a 12-week one, which is pretty much like a life course. It's helping make sure that women are able to fill all roles in their lives. And to be able to do that, you have to have a strong foundation in yourself. So that way you can fill the role in your family. Then you can fill that role in your community, whether it's your business or in your community, your churches, whatever that might look like. But for myself, the 12-week course was all from how I got out of my funk. All the steps I took out to strengthen my marriage, to strengthen my foundation in myself, to strengthen my relationships with my kids, in my community, how I'm able to, like, I would talk about my personal stories and I would just cry, and I wouldn't be able to get through it because I just didn't work through it. And so this was something I had to do personally. And like, I was raised in a religious home, and a lot of the time you're told, like, give it to God, give it to Christ, be okay, which is
beautiful. And it's for other,
But if you believe in Christ, what would be the reason as to why he went through what he did if we're just going to give it over to him? Like, and I had to really learn, like, I can't just pray to have it go away. I had to pray for guidance to become the better person that Christ wanted me to become from having this experience, and have him guide me to where I needed to go, essentially, instead of just giving it. Because that, like, if we were just to give it over every single time, like, Christ, it would have went through all of that for no reason.
And what would we learn?
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't be able to become better people. We wouldn't be able to become the people that God or Christ want us to know that we can become, if we're just automatically like tapping out and waving our white flag. So that's exactly why I how I created this course. Is it was everything, all the steps that I needed to do to help strengthen and better myself. As far as the self-esteem course, that actually came from my grandma's friend. I had driven by her house, and I was like, oh, if I see her in her window, I'll go say hi. And she was sitting out on her porch. So I get out, I go talk to her, I tell her how I'm starting life coaching, and she goes, for the last, I can't remember how many years, I want to say 30. She's like, I created a self-esteem course that I have been teaching to women to help them. And I was like, oh, I would love to hear like how you taught that. And so we met up one day, and she gave me her whole course. And it's just so cute. It's like typewriter, like it's that old, like she never put it on the computer. So she typewritten it and then like copied it and gave it all to me. And she goes, I know that I will still be able to help people through you. So I have like these 2 courses, one which was her experience of how she learned how to have self-esteem. And then my course was from myself. So all my courses have nothing to do with the the core, like my classes that I've taken for certification, it all stems with my personal experience and her personal experience. So,
oh, I just think that is fantastic.
yeah.
So now let's get into the business side, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Becoming a, mompreneur, right? How do you balance that work and personal life? Like, do you feel like being a business owner struggles, you have family struggles because you're a business owner?
So when I was only doing hair, I don't feel like I did, because like I would make a lot of posts. So typically with the hair industry, it takes like 3+ years to get a full clientele. I was able to do it in a year and a half. But it was because of how much I worked and pushed and promoted. So like that time-wise was probably a lot. And I only worked on Wednesdays and Fridays. So I had only 2 set days that I was working. But now with where I've changed and I've added to my workload. And there was a time where I was decorating weddings as well as doing.
Multi-talented, everyone. Look at this.
With the balance that I have now, I'm still trying to work through it, because I'm trying to transition more away from hair and more to this coursework, because I really feel like this is where I need to be, and creating a strong unity in women, creating a strong tribe. So because of that, I know how hard it is going to be to create a functioning new business, because I did it with my previous. I know how much more how much more time I have to put into it. But now, instead of only working on Wednesdays and Fridays and maybe some days to add some more promotional stuff, like really quick on Instagram, now I'm having to create websites. I didn't have to have that with my hair. All I had to have was an Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to have funnels. So I've had to learn how to create funnels. I've had to learn, and I've went through multiple funnel websites. I think I'm on my 2nd or 3rd one right now. So I'm learning how to do that. Plus now I've added the podcast. So it just has been so much harder to manage that time. And I'm homeschooling. So,
girl.
So with me homeschooling, it actually has worked out a lot better, because now I'm like, okay, I can create a strong structure of schedule, where like in the mornings we do our class stuff for a few hours, because my daughter's only 4, and we just do it for a few hours. My boy is 2. And then when it's nap time, I really try to focus on this stuff. And then once nap time is over, I'll do it maybe here and there if we have like a little break. But after that, I'm trying to not do it until like maybe after bedtime. So in the summertime, I was all day, almost every day. And I think it kind of burnt myself out, and it totally burnt my husband out as well, because he wasn't working, because he's a teacher. So he was home, and he's like, are you going to be able to like be a mom? I was like, yes. But so now he's back to work. So now I can create a schedule. I think when I start relying on other people to help be there for me, it's harder for me to create a schedule, because I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I can just do it. He's here. So now that he's not, I'm learning what schedule kind of works for us. But up until that point, it's hard to create, because you want to get your business going, and what takes that? You have to have time. I mean,
yeah, relentless execution. I mean,
yep.
What it
takes. Don't do it. It doesn't work. You don't get going. You don't get anything going. So yeah.
Well, I can tell you, we've been in business for 15 years, and we're still figuring it out, because things change.
Yeah.
Kids get older, family changes, work changes, you know what I mean? So you really have to go with flow, in my opinion, and be ready and open to having to change those schedules and lifestyles a little bit. But when you're an entrepreneur, at least you can do it from anywhere, pretty much.
It's really nice. So, yes.
So, as a business owner, talking to these people, what are some of the main problems that you think women face in their lives? And what about business owners, female business owners?
Okay, female business owners. So I think, I mean, obviously with myself, right? Like I was filling how many roles? A mom, a wife, a daughter, a hairstylist, a life coach. And when I was in school, because I just barely graduated at the 1st of August, and I was doing school for 3 years. So that's been going. And then
the wedding stuff,
decorating, plus like any extracurricular activity stuff that I have to fill. So that's 8 roles just right here. That's not including like neighbor. That's not including like I like all of my actual things that I like to do, hobbies like gardening, canning, that type of stuff. That doesn't add that. So one of the things that I've noticed is like, one, we start really self-doubting ourselves. One, it's because we're overworked. And then once we start being overworked, we start getting overwhelmed, and then we start self-doubting. And we just stay in that cycle. We can't get out of it until we make an action plan. So whenever I talk about stuff I want to do with my hair clients, they're always like, I can't believe you just do it. I'm like, well, if I don't, I start self-doubting and then I don't ever get it done. So like the podcast, I was like, I wanted to do the podcast. And I just reached out and said, hey, I'm wanting to do this podcast. I'm talking about like people's messes in their lives, like what they wish they would have learned. If you want to reach out and get on the podcast, let me know. I had so many people reach out to me. I'm like, well, freak, I have all these people now wanting to be on the podcast. I just have to do it. So I just did it. I just made that podcast in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Got the first person on, recorded, and then we aired it. Like it was within a few days I got it going, because if I feel like I have to do it, I will do it if other people are relying on me. And I don't like to feel like I'm going to say I'm going to do something and then I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Don't like that. So that one was something that I've learned is like, if you want to do something, make a plan and do it. Because if not, you're going to start self-doubting and become overwhelmed. And then you're not going to ever do it, because you're going to always have an excuse as to why you can't do it. Why a different time would be better. There's always going to be an excuse. But I've learned that also with it is that people really struggle with their identity. So what I mean by that is, I feel like in our society nowadays is that we are having our roles be our identities. So as a mom, when you're walking into a room, you're asked to introduce yourself, you say, I'm a mom. That's as I knock over my microphone. That's your role. That's not your identity, right?
Yeah.
To have the role as mother, but that is not who you are. We have people saying, oh, I am this in my career. I mean, we see it nowadays with the our sexual identities as well. Like, but that's a role we're playing. That isn't who we are as a person. So we always are hearing like, you need to learn who you are as a person, but we're also told that we see in our environment that our achievements are like make us more worthy of a person. So that's why we always lead with what our accomplishments are in life, because we tie that to our identity. We don't tie who we are as ourselves to our identity. So something that I feel like I really try to push, especially like with starting a new business, is you have to know what your values are as a person. So we're taught values when we're raised, but I really swear we come with our own ingrained values with our personality, because there's people that I know who were raised in a really tough environment that have amazing values, but it's because that was their own. Like they came with that as a value. So when I say, like, when people are saying, you got to know who you are as a person, yes, you do. But this is how you know, is what are your values? People are like, well, I don't know. So when you get super upset at something that somebody did and something that happened to you and you're super upset, more than likely it was because a value was broken. So if you think back to a time where you were just distraught, super upset, I would even say pissed, right? Like it's because a value was broken. Now, if you don't live up to what your value is and accept that that's a value and be like, nope, I don't allow for that to be broken. You're allowing that value to be broken, which you're allowing your self-worth to start to deteriorate, and your self-identity and your self-esteem, because now you are not respecting yourself, which then you're showing to your brain that it's not important, even though internally it totally is. Like it can cause emotionally and physically problems to not uphold that value, even though you might not know it's a value. So it's really important to make a list of like at least 3 to 5 top values that you know for sure you are not okay with to have broken. And then even start working and implementing those values into your entrepreneurial career, whether it's you make it as your mission statement in your business, or having something so that way you can implement it and start feeling like, okay, if this goes against our company values, it goes against my personal values, and I will not have it. Because the moment you start, again, giving into that, you will start be resenting yourself. You start resenting your situation, whether that's your company, employees, whatever that might look like. But it's because that value isn't being upheld, which makes us shut down really fast as well, and want us to get rid of and just give up in life with how things go. But that's something I have learned, is you have to have a strong self foundation for you to fill any other role outside, whether it is in your career, whether it is in your family. Because if you don't have a strong self-identity, you're going to just be playing roles, and you're going to keep taking off those hats and have no foundation. You're going to not be able to have any of your values hit, because you're just playing different roles, taking off those caps, putting a new one on, and not having any firm foundation whatsoever.
This is actually awesome. I've been taking notes, right? And I'm looking at the notes, and I'm listening to you at the same time. And, you know, when I'm listening to you, it's like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. How am I going to change myself? Like all those limiting beliefs and self-doubts, right? But when I actually look at it written down, it's not that hard to do if you have direction. Yeah, I believe that I really see how this whole thing works together. I think that whole section was mind-blowing, to be honest with you. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
So what are some of the current or future projects or initiatives that you are working on or planning to work on to create more change and impact for the community?
So with what I'm wanting to start implementing is, I have been doing this by myself. I've been teaching it by myself.
Yeah.
So now what my vision has changed to be is, I want other women to go through the courses and feel as strongly empowered and passionate about helping other women strengthen their self foundation to fill their roles, helping us each other lift each other up, because we're not all having the same life experiences, but we might have similar ones. And when we feel like we can't talk about it because we're embarrassed or discouraged or whatever that might look like, the more we shut off, the more we lose our self-foundation. I think it's just the goal to make people feel like they're not alone. We're all here together, and that's what the tribe is about. So what I'm now trying to start implementing is, with my courses, we have women's retreats, but I'm wanting to have the women's retreats lead to a certification where these women want to come out and learn how to teach as I teach, host the courses that I host, have their own groups, have their own tribes, have their own communities, whether it's close to them, because it's not just specifically like, I'm based out of Utah, but this is not meant to be just for Utah. I would love to be worldwide with this, where women can help have their own communities, help strengthen each other, help create those strong connections, and those strong like tribe bond, where we can help grow. And because every person reaches 10 people, and those 10 people reach 10 people. So it's all about creating that certificate where people can come in and teach, where they now can host their own women's retreats, or they can come help teach at my women's retreats that I'm holding. Because it's all about empowerment. Like no one should just all have their own power. And like I said in my group, the reason why I love having my group courses where we come in as a class is so that way people can actually talk about, like, share their experiences, because their experience is going to hit somebody different than mine. And like that is all about what it's about. So that's what I'm leaning now towards, is having people come in, help teach, help grow that community. I would love to even get to the point where we're able to hold these big women conferences where we all come together. But obviously that's way down the line, because I have to start getting people to come teach. I already have one lady who's going to be helping me teach, which I am so excited for, because she actually is one of my hair clients. But
awesome.
when I was going through the thick of my crap, she helped me through so much stuff, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for her, because she is just such a sounding board of having everything be, well, did you think about it this way? Like, she is just amazing. So she helped me in so many ways, and I've been trying to get her on to doing this for like over a year and a half of helping me with my stuff. And it really is. She's like, why do you keep asking me to do this? And I'm like, it's because you helped me so much, and I know what you can do for other people. But that's just what it is in general. Is I know what all these women, even the ones that haven't taken my courses, that haven't come in my tribe, I know what they can do for other women. I know the power that we have together. And we all have that unique women's intuition, right? And I feel like we have been taught to not listen to that as strongly, but we need to, because that woman's intuition helps us fill the roles that we need, but also helps other women fill the roles that they need. And so I think that that's like the biggest theme for me, is just making sure that we're helping women fill the roles that they feel passionate about, that they feel like they can come out and fill with, like teaching or holding a course, or if it's not that they don't want to do that, but they want to be part of the community, whatever things that they can bring to the table, like whether it's like video creation, it's just about creating that community. So I think that that's like my biggest focus, is like not having myself do it by myself.
Yeah, love it. You have to delegate.
Yeah.
If you want to be a business owner and a successful one, you have to delegate.
Absolutely.
You have to find a tribe you can depend on.
Yep.
All right. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. We're going to have to schedule another one of these. But as I wrap things up, I always like to ask, what entrepreneur, has inspired you, or you feel has been innovative for our country? I always get that silence when I ask this question. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think like I've met people, like I have a business mentor, and he has helped a lot. But when you said help the country, right? Mm-hmm. Right when you said that, I thought of Thomas Edison, and with the light bulb, because we all in life give up after our third try. Mm-hmm. And he was asked, like, didn't it suck to keep failing at making the light bulb? And he goes, no, I just learned 1,000 different ways that I didn't like to not make it. And I just think that is the perfect example with especially an entrepreneur, not just in life, but if one thing doesn't work, you're learning what doesn't work for your company, and you just need to pivot and pursue it, because if not, then you're not going to be able to accomplish the goals that you have in life. Like, it's okay. We all have an ideal goal as to where we want our life to look like, but that is almost always perfect. Life is not perfect. You are not perfect. Your business is not perfect, nor will it ever be perfect. But you have to just start moving towards that goal and be okay with having a goal image, but not having the perfect like conformity to that image. And I think Thomas Edison was like a perfect example with that. It's like he knew what he wanted and he knew what he could do with it, but he didn't like stop. He just kept pivoting and changing, and then he finally got it. And eventually you will finally get it in your business. You will eventually get it in your life the way that you thought you would. might be a little different because obviously he had one image with one light bulb and it didn't work and he just changed. But now he has a completely different light bulb, right? So
yeah,
I would say that for sure, Thomas Edison.
Brilliant. I actually said the same things. Okay, so now, Bailee, I want you to tell me where all the people can find you because I think you are bringing a terrific value to women everywhere. So what's the best way for them to find you?
So I have my personal page, which is also my business page, which is the Bailee Carlson on Instagram. And then I have my SelfEsteem Course or my webpage, which is obviously shestandstrong.com. And then if people want to reach out to me personally, it's Bailee Carlson at shestandstrong.com. And like those are kind of like the best ways to get a hold of me. So
fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining my podcast. Thank you again for making such an impact on the world. I'm so grateful that I was able to meet you.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed having our conversations. So.
Yeah. And we're going to keep it up because I know you have a lot more to share. All right. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you coming on and listening. It really makes a difference. Obviously, if you think somebody else can get value from this, it would be great if you shared. Otherwise, have an awesome day. Wow. What a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailee. I am your host, and I will see you next time.